Fuuka is an absolutely terrible anime. I've been worried about how it was going to turn out as soon as this ad showed up around chapter 80 of the manga. We might even see an Asahi hot spring bath scene that wasn't in the manga. Too exciting. Fuuka has always had a lot of fan service, but a lot is kept to the chapter title pages. This made me assume that they were going to go overboard, and oh boy did they. As of writing this, the anime is on episode 6, and it's bad. It's really bad. I'm gonna make a lot of comparisons to the manga just to show how badly they ruined everything.
なんか私たちリア充っぽい。
実際そうだろ
Let's look at the art before we go into any episodes. It looks okay, but that's it. It doesn't stand out. Most of the characters have the same hair, and don't get me started on the animation, or the lack thereof. Episode 1. So, the first episode starts off and right away has awful pacing and makes no sense. Fuuka gets mad at Yu because she thinks he took a picture of her panties. Then, while Yu's taking pictures on the roof, the same thing happens again. While they're looking for his phone that she knocked out of his hands, Yu gives Fuuka her CD that she dropped when she ran into him. The next day he introduces himself in class and Fuuka pretends she doesn't know him, even though he gave her CD back. In the manga, they're already friends by this point, and she's happy that he's in her class. These are bad signs. They purposely write in these small, stupid disagreements to make it as obvious as possible that Fuuka's going to be your stereotypical tsundere character, even though Fuuka's personality was completely different in the manga. After class, Yu thinks he's helping Fuuka out by telling a guy to leave her alone, but he just wanted her to join the track team, and Yu runs away after learning this. Fuuka finds Yu and gives him his phone, and then she tells him her name. In the manga, they found the phone together, and after Yu runs away, she tells him that he was really cool for helping her. She eventually tells him that in the show, but it's not until episode 3. The next scene, Fuuka sees the movie tickets Yu's holding and says, "Hey, it's that movie that Koyuki sings the theme song for." Then states that she'd already bought Koyuki's single on the first day it came out. She says, "Hey, you have 2 tickets there, don't you?" It then hard cuts to them waiting at the meeting place. This scene is just annoying. They're both at the meeting place, but on different sides of the Hachiko statue. They walk around the statue at the same time and miss each other. Eventually, Fuuka just shouts until he gets to her, and she falls on him for no reason. They arrive at the movie theater and have to wait in line for no explained reason other than, hey, there are phone straps. I can only assume that they're waiting in line to be seated because they already have their tickets. They pretend to be dating so that they can get the strap being given away at the theater. Here's why I shut the show off the first time. In the manga, they get the strap in chapter 2 from a couple's promotion with the purchase of a CD. Chapter 3, it shows the CD that she bought as Memories, Koyuki's single, and the next day, his sister gives him the movie tickets. Fuuka sees the tickets and is like, "Lucky, I want to go see it too, but I spent all my allowance on CDs," so Yu invites her. In the anime, Fuuka doesn't even suggest that she's friends with Yu, she just forces him to take her to the movie. After the movie, Fuuka gives him the keychain. Yu tries to turn it down by saying, "Yeah, but we're not really a couple." Fuuka then responds with,
それはまだわからないじゃない?
"But yes, we do. You're either a couple or you're not." For some reason, they decided to change the actual strap from a rabbit to an alpaca. I guess alpacas are more popular right now or something? Fuuka runs away and it looks funny. Episode 2. The first scene shows Fuuka's family. Why is this included? Is it to show that her mom is Suzuka? Does anyone watching Fuuka know about Suzuka? The anime ended 12 years ago, and she barely even looks the same. This scene isn't necessary or important. After a horrible intro, we see Fuuka crying while looking through the window. Then we flash back to 8 seconds ago to see Fuuka was crying, just in case we forgot. What was she looking at? Makoto reading a book. That's weird. In the manga, it was Nachi running track. After class, they have to clean the pool because they're not in a club. Yu gets jealous that Fuuka and Makoto are talking like they're close. Why should he care? Has he said anything that suggests that he likes her? They held hands, so I guess that's more than most anime characters do. After Makoto explains that he's gay, he says to you, "No wonder Fuka's attracted to you." Oh, wait, sorry, in the anime he doesn't say anything. But there's another flashback for nothing. Fuuka explains that she was crying because of a song. Next, Fuuka asks you if he's free on Saturday and tells him to keep his schedule open on that day. His childhood friend Koyuki that night invites him to her concert on Saturday, but he turns it down because he's made plans with Fuuka. In the manga before the concert, Fuuka says, "I'll be on that stage one day." In the anime, Fuuka isn't interested in starting a band until after she sees Koyuki in concert. She says that she has no idea what she wants to do with her life, twice, and even asks you what she should do. There's this scene right before the credits where Fuuka's in the bath. This is supposed to be the big deciding moment where she knows she wants to be a musician. This scene does a terrible job at doing that, though. She's sitting in the bath, says yeah, and gets up. That's it. They already showed that she was inspired by the concert. This is just another excuse for some cheap fan service. The after credits scene shows the group telling their teacher that they want to start a band. Cool, we can finally get to some band stuff. I'm sure it'll be great. Episode 3. This one has some good animation.
大学生？
いえ
In this episode, the group gets a part-time job at a beach hut to make money for instruments. Yu sucks at his job, he sulks, and Fuuka cheers him up. Then he does good at his job, lap pillow, and then flashback to lap pillow. Hey, here's where Makoto tells him Fuuka likes him,
フーカは君に惹かれてるんだと思うよ
or something like that. Then Yu pushes Fuuka out on an inflatable whale into the ocean. Out enough that the beach is this far away, and she almost drowns, but then Yu drowns instead. Fuuka saves him and cries because she thought he was going to die. I don't know how the situation switched. Did Fuuka's leg cramp disappear after 5 seconds? It's the only explanation, so I guess that's it. Afterwards, she shares an indirect kiss with Makoto, and Yu thinks to himself, that doesn't bother her? This episode skips a lot of stuff, mainly character development. There's a scene in the manga where Fuuka cooks for Yu and does an awful job. She feeds him peppers and cooks eggs in the microwave. There's a scene on the beach where she's playing volleyball with some people she met that day. After Fuuka saves Yu, he says, "Ever since I met Fuuka, I've been in love." And after the indirect kiss, he's angry and calls her a bitch in his mind. This all seems important, but I guess Dio Media doesn't think so. Overall, Fuuka's very unlikable in the show. Her character seems completely backwards from the manga. This is a pretty bad thing considering it's classified as a romance. You should either be able to relate to the characters or at least like them. If you're into bitchy girls with no defining character traits, then I guess this show might be good to you, but otherwise you're just going to be turned off by how unbelievably bland and boring each single character is. At the end of the episode, Yu meets up with Koyuki and Fuuka sees them clinging to each other. Episode 4. This episode is bad. Fuuka's mad at Yu for half of the episode. Most of the hedgehogs show up, and Fuuka and Yu play with them. Well, Fuuka plays while Yu does nothing. In the manga, it's easier to digest because Yu just says, "Wait, the song's already over?" But in the show, you have to watch for 2.5 minutes while he stands there and does nothing. The animation is also weird, and Fuuka sounds nothing like herself when she sings.
私の名前は秋月風花。
The voice actor gave Fuuka a high, girly voice, so when she starts singing, I guess, trying to mimic the actual singer for Climber's High, it's much lower and becomes jarring. After the performance on the beach, the teacher says that it only takes one person to make a band successful. This is a really stupid line to put in a show about making a band. Every character is supposed to be important and talented, so why would you say this? When you make an anime about music, you should animate the musical performances well, because it's the focus of the show. The way that the first performance is animated should be amazing. The Hedgehogs are a famous band that everybody in the show knows. Fuuka gets to sing with one of her favorite bands and her friends. We should feel their excitement. We should see how pumped everyone is. They should be jumping and sweating and smiling, but they just stand in one spot and bounce. It's the first time we see Fuuka play in a group, and it's just animated so poorly that it makes it clear that the band isn't going to be the focus of the show. Okay, so the focus must be the relationships, right? Well, the relationships are dull and basic enough that they're the same as most anime. If the romance and friendships are boring, and the music parts are animated badly, what's there to look forward to? I guess fan service? The anime is just cluttered in fan service shots. I'm not denying that the manga wasn't guilty of fan service too. It had its fair share of scenes, and so far all the manga's fan service was brought into the anime. But they added extra scenes because why not? What sells better than boobs and butts, so better add as much as possible. Why follow the original story in an adaptation when we can add scenes where we can see him in the bath? Anyway, we're way off topic. Let's go back to the episode. It's almost over. Finally, Fuuka and Yu share a jacket on the beach. He stands up and somehow pulls her shirt off. Now, this isn't just dumb fan service, it also makes no sense. Once he's on top of her, his jacket is on fully, even though he was only wearing one arm. It makes no sense. In the manga, this happens right after the drowning scene and before she got mad at him. It gave her more of a reason to be angry about seeing him with Koyuki because a lot happened in one day. Instead, she just gets angry because he kept it a secret that he knew a singer she liked. Episode 5. This one isn't that different from the manga. It hits all the same plot points in order, and it's straightforward, but the story is still horrible. At their first practice, Yu and Fuuka both say that it's their first time playing their instruments. Nachi and Makoto are also rusty, but in what appears to be the next day when they practice, they're all able to play well enough to keep up with the song. Sara is the only person who should be able to play well at this point. Yu should be terrible. He practiced for the night. And Sara said that the song had a complex bass section, but he doesn't seem to have much trouble learning it in a day. Apparently playing music's the easiest thing to learn. Episode 6. This episode is the worst one. The first 10 minutes is backstory on Koyuki and Yu's relationship. This was from chapter 0 in the manga. It wasn't necessary then, but at least it was an extra chapter. The episode takes so long to show it all, though. We've already seen most of it anyways. They've shown this stupid snowman and the shot of Koyuki walking away with her mom about 3 times in the other episodes. The two knew their promise to play on the same stage someday, and then Koyuki leaves. We didn't learn anything new from these 10 minutes. It was just filler. While walking, Koyuki gets splashed by a truck in the rain. Fuuka chases the truck, and then takes Koyuki to the bathhouse. Oh boy, here's that hot spring bath scene that wasn't in the manga. It's dumb fan service. After the show cuts to them in the bathhouse, it flashes back to Fuuka dragging Koyuki to the bathhouse. The flashback is weird and didn't need to be there. They could have just put it in order. It's just distracting. The two talk and compare boobs mentally. The after credit scene shows us someone with a picture of the pinky promise from earlier. Had they skipped this episode entirely, they could have spent more time developing characters, but instead we get an episode that does nothing important until the after credits scene. Also, look at the picture of their pinky promise. See how many differences you can find between it and the original shot. I don't understand how this happened. All they had to do was crop an image. This show is bad. I'm not saying the manga is great, especially lately, but I liked the first arc. The anime is just bad, though. Bad animation, an uninteresting and poorly paced story, boring, underdeveloped characters, and extra fan service. I'm just shocked that they screwed up this badly. If they followed the manga, at least they could have had a cohesive story, even if they were this lazy on the animation. I am going to finish this show, but only because I'm curious of where they decide to end the season.